My name's Dan Fulkerson. It's the first time we're doing this, and I'm very excited. I have my very good friend Pablo Vargas on today, and I think Pablo's story is one of the more impactful stories that I've encountered in my life. He's changed my life in many different ways since I met him 3 years ago, and I just want everyone to be able to get to know Pablo the way that I've gotten to know Pablo and know what he's been through and get some life perspective. And I think that's what this is really all about is life perspective and understanding what's important in life and understanding what's not important in life, and how we all come to find that life perspective is unique, and sometimes it's through traumatic experiences, and unfortunately this is one of those stories. But the ending and how Pablo's come out the other side is one of the more inspirational things that I've ever been a part of in my life. And so I just wanted to take the time and thank you for coming in today. I greatly appreciate it.
No problem.
Introduce yourself, man.
Okay, well, um, my name is Pablo Vargas. I'm a production engineer. I'm originally from Colombia. I came to the U.S. to the States in 2011. Uh, to try it out a new future, better future for me. I came from a good family, hardworking family. Unfortunately, things were not going really well in Colombia working with them, and then I decided to move on. That time, I was planning to get together with my girlfriend, and up to today, we're still married, so that kind of worked.
Girlfriend then, now wife.
Yep,
Yep.
and
Do you guys
one.
get married in Colombia or once you got to the States?
So we got married here in the states, but 1 year later, we did our wedding in Colombia
Got it.
formally.
So
Yeah,
you moved to the States what year?
2011.
2011. Okay. And your background is engineering. You have your engineering degree you got in Colombia.
Yes.
You came here. What was first job in the States?
So my first job.
Speak any English, by the way, when you got here?
No, no.
No English at all. 2011. Get here
Well,
to San Diego.
yes, no, hello, how are you? Simple
The
things.
basics. Like my
But
Spanish.
I couldn't even have a fluent conversation. I mean, I just learned it by talking to people and being friendly.
Got it. Got it.
So,
So you get here 2011. What's first job?
first job was I was still kind of waiting to see what was gonna happen with the situation with my girlfriend at that point. Once we kind of formalized it, my first job was working in a hobby shop. I was pretty good with remote control things like cars, airplanes, helicopters, you name it. Everything that has to do with radio control. I've always been pretty enthusiastic about it, and plus my engineering background, I kind of felt like, okay, I need to learn English, and I need to learn English fast. So that was a perfect scenario because you receive a bunch of customers, you have to talk in English no matter what, and it was in El Cajon. Somebody gave me the opportunity. Hey, yeah, come work with me. I'll pay you minimum wage. Like, I mean, I work Sunday to Sunday. I don't care.
Yep.
In 1 year, I was talking in English. I become the manager of repairs and sales over there.
Not surprised.
It was kind of a nice opportunity, and then I started looking for more and more. As my family, we are pretty well driven, and I found more opportunities, and I move on. That was my first job. Then I move on to I become a sales agent at La Mesa RV, selling RVs for a month. And then that's when the very first engineering opportunity came in, which was working for a company called Shield Aviation. They were developing an unmanned vehicle, unmanned aircraft, um, and it was doing pretty well. I mean, that was pretty much opened my eyes in several different ways. I did learn a lot of CAD, learn a lot of how the development of projects happen for big companies like Boeing. I mean, we were having people coming from the Navy, people coming from the military, and I was having
You were building like multi-million-dollar drones.
yeah. It wasn't a quad. It was a huge airplane. It was a 1,200 pounds airplane.
And that was your project.
It was project. I was part of the project.
Oh.
I was the production manager. I was managing all the manufacturing side of composites. I was helping a lot of design. I did a lot of integration. I came up with a lot of ideas. having internal reviews with the engineers, giving them suggestions, and of course, my background in the radio control industry gave me the ability to kind of show myself that I knew what I was talking about.
Yep.
I
And that's when you and I met each other. You were working at Shield.
Yeah, right, yeah, because I mean,
And right in that time frame, and this is like, what was the date? What was the date of the incident?
November, the accident,
Yeah,
November 6th,
November 6th. And
2016.
you had your first child. When was Max born?
August 14.
August 14th, 2016. Max comes into the world, who is the cutest kid you'll ever see.
Yeah.
I mean, he's unbelievable. So Max is born in August, and then unfortunately Pablo and I meet each other in November, and that's kind of when everything changes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I wanted to spend some time on. Let's
Okay.
just talk about, how'd we meet, man? It wasn't at a gas station. It wasn't over, drinks at a bar like, a lot of people would like to meet. How did you and I come into each other's lives?
So I gotta be honest, I don't remember the day that we actually meet because I probably was with too many drugs in the hospital or
I'm
something.
pretty out of it.
But I do remember when, oh well, Dan is going to be the one representing you. I can remember that as a picture. Boom, that was right there.
Yeah.
Like and I do, last week I actually was trying to kind of cut up on that thought. And I think I remember saying something to you like, please do whatever it takes to make things right for me. I did something like that.
You did. It wasn't in those. It was a little bit more aggressive than that. We didn't know each other as well at the time.
I don't remember how
it was right around those same lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what brought us, like, what was the situation? Kind of walk us through, what happened.
So the reason that we met is because I was involved in a car accident or motorcycle car accident. I was in a motorcycle. A person.
You were on your Ducati?
I was in my Ducati. I was on my bike. I was with a few friends, but at that time, according for what people tell me, I was alone coming down Palomar Mountain, coming down in one of the turns. A car lost control. It was coming too fast. Lost control of the vehicle and invaded my lane. Hit me and hit me at around 60 miles an hour. I flew off. I almost flew off of the cliff. Would it be a little larger, I would be probably dead. Paramedics got there. They take my suit out and they did whatever they need to do, and they flew me over to Palomar Hospital in a helicopter. Expensive ride though.
Very expensive ride.
But saved my life. And I think 2 weeks after that, it's when I don't know how long it took, but that's when I met you.
And so to fill in some details on the accident. So obviously I'm an injury attorney. That's what I do. I meet people all the time in these horrible, awful life situations. This is a very unique situation. The person who was driving the car went up on Palomar Mountain Road to film himself driving. He attached a GoPro to the front of the car and a GoPro to the back of the car. And my belief is he was filming himself drifting corners. And he overdrifted a corner and drifted into Pablo's lane, causing this horrific accident that nearly took Pablo's life. And I think anyone that's less of a man probably wouldn't have made it, because it's one of the worst accidents I've ever seen. And it's all on film. And that makes it an even more unique situation, as usually these things aren't captured on film. But I met Pablo when you were in the hospital in the ER. And when I met Pablo, he wasn't even, really aware of where he was. It was his wife and his brothers had flown in from Colombia, and they were kind of taking care of the whole situation. So I didn't get a really chance to meet you for a couple weeks until you were, back with us and not on so much medication.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that time period?
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, Dan. On the 2 months that I spent in the hospital, I don't have fluent days that I have actually remember something clearly. I do remember pictures, like a little moments. I remember rough moments, like being desesperated because I needed more opioid into my veins. I was getting.
What were your injuries? I mean,
Huh?
I know them, but let's
Yeah,
go through your
yeah.
injuries.
Well, so I went over several surgeries, around 10 to 12 surgeries. The first one that caused the clavicle shatter, destroyed the subclavian artery. I bleed out in the inside, lost most of the blood. Um, I think on the record says that my heart stopped for a couple minutes. I don't know exactly what it was, but they took a vein from my leg, put it right here, and they after that they actually proceed to fix my leg. My left femur also broke. They put a rod of titanium from my knee all the way to my hip. On my right tibia, they put another plate of titanium here, and they finally fix the clavicle with another plate. So I'm becoming Robocop slightly. Just need a little
Pretty
more.
much. You're close.
Yeah. So
X-ray machines in the airport love you, huh?
it's crazy. They always beep.
Oh,
They always freak out. And yeah, so when the clavicle shattered, it destroyed my nerve system on my left side of my body, affected my left, pretty much all the left side, all the way down to my leg. I don't have the same sensitivity on my arm. I mean, I don't feel anything, almost anything on my left hand. I cannot move it. My left chest is gone. My left back is gone. Have lost sensitivity of the skin on my left um, side of my leg, and sometimes I have like a numbness continuously on my leg. So it was pretty severe and complex. Um, at the same time, I lost a lot of strength during the recovery in the hospital. I had to go to a lot of physical therapy, and the physical therapy was done by pretty much by myself.
yeah. How
So
much strength, if any, do you have dexterity in your hand? Can you? I mean, is it?
no, so my fingers are gone. I cannot move my fingers. I can move my elbow like this. I can flex my bicep because of one of the surgeries. So it's moving pretty good.
Which is huge from where you were.
Oh yeah, it was nothing. It
You couldn't
was
move it at
no, no,
all.
no. It was nothing.
I mean, that is so much progress. It's not even funny.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot. So Dr. Brown is the one that actually did the reconstructive surgery. He took one of the nerves from some other place in behind my chest and connected to the bicep. And they say, well, let's hope for the best. And it was been working. There's some other work that still need to be done, but we're moving along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting there.
So
So one thing that Pablo didn't mention in that is that Pablo's left-handed. Pablo does all his engineering work with his left hand. That's the hand that, is his dominant hand. And so this accident screwed up your career.
yeah, it did.
You were building planes from the ground up. I mean, I saw your garage when I first met you. Your wife's like, his garage is his second love next to me. Go check it out. And I went and checked it out, and it's literally just planes and motorcycle parts and all sorts of fun, unbelievable man stuff that I don't know how to use or how any of it works. But you're not able to do a lot of that stuff now.
Yeah, it become a challenge. It become a frustration at the very beginning. It become a problem just because without aviation, I don't even wanna do anything else. It's just my nature. And yeah, I lost my hand, and I needed to find a way to move on in my hobby, in my professional life. So it took me a good actually. Should we talk about how I tried to go back to work and they denied it to me?
Yeah, I want to talk about all of it. I mean, this is the part most people, when they get knocked off of life the way that you got knocked off of life, they go and they get real depressed, or they deal with it in a non-productive way. And I want to talk about kind of your personal struggle with it. Like, what were your first thoughts when you realized
Yeah,
that your hand wasn't going to be there anymore?
yeah.
Like, what went
So
through your head?
one of the first desesperated attempts to try to start thinking on something else besides the hand, besides my hand, my whole arm, was to have my head busy on something else.
Yeah.
And I attempt to go back to work to work with Shield. Uh, but those guys, they say, well, we needed to replace your position. We needed to have somebody else. And I say, well, yeah, but at least I can do paperwork, I can do work instructions, I can do many things on the computer. I was still under opioids and I was still in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk at that point. And I told my wife, let's just go talk to them, then let them understand that I'll do whatever it takes to recover my job, to recover my position. Long story short, they blew me off. I mean, I went over there 3 times, and 3 times they told me, no, we don't have a position, blah blah blah. And that's when the point I understand and I understood, like, I'm not gonna chase these guys anymore. I need to do something else. And then that's when the depression came in. 2 days after that, I went into the garage and I started destroying things, frustrated. It was just shit. It was, I'm sorry for the language, but it was just
We don't
a
have any
nightmare.
language rules here. You use whatever language
right.
you want.
It was just a tornado in my head. Like, what are you gonna do if you cannot find a job? You're not gonna be able to provide for the family. What the heck I'm gonna be doing? And then my dad was like, come back to Colombia and come back and let's go. We'll find something for you. We'll help you out. And then I say, no, 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 no. I walk away from that. I'm gonna try to fight for something. But it was at the same time, it was a war in my head about the frustration that I couldn't do anything. And I found myself, like, in a couple of positions where I told my wife that I didn't want anything to do with her. It was miserable. I was a miserable person at that point. I didn't want to continue.
You ever think about ending it?
Yeah. My wife had to the point that she needed to call the police, and they needed to take me over to the hospital because I wasn't well on my mind. I wasn't thinking through. I told my mom and my wife that I didn't want Max in my life. I told my wife to fuck off. I told my wife to forget about me, to go find somebody else. And
Can I ask you,
surprisingly,
why do you think you were saying those things? Because I know you as a man. My thought is you thought that. Did you think you'd be like a liability to them moving forward?
yeah, I
Like,
didn't
what
want to
was
be.
your
Yeah,
what,
I didn't want to be a drag. I felt like I failed. Having been like that, I felt like, okay, I can no longer provide the same way that I that I that I've been working. I mean, I've been working since I was pretty young. I was working while I was in the university. I had a job with my dad, and I was excelling at university. I mean, and not that I got my university for free, but my dad paid for it, but I worked for it.
yeah.
So I didn't get things for free in my life. So the point that I lost my hand, how the heck I'm gonna go be able to provide for my family? We came with nothing to this country, and the only thing that I just been taking is opportunities. But this is a big stoppage point for almost any type of human being. So it was frustrating. I almost committed suicide, I think 2 or 3 times. One of them I tried to stop myself.
I remember one night you called me, and I don't know which time this was, but you called me and I could just hear it in your voice. And you told me, you're like, can you meet me? And we met at Islands,
Yeah,
the burger joint that
I
one
was
night.
desperate. I was just
And I could see it in your eyes, and I kept telling you, and it's one of those things that, it seems like lip service. I mean, I believe it when I'm saying it, but when you're talking to someone that's going through what you're going through, to say, hang on, keep your head up, stay positive, keep perspective, you're still here with us. There, have a half glass full. When people are telling you that shit, is it one of those things? Is it just like, shut up? Like, you don't get it, you don't understand, like, you know what I mean? Like, because it's hard being on the outside, knowing what you're going through,
right.
knowing I can't tell you it's going to be all okay, because it's not going to be all okay. It's
Yeah,
going to be a new okay, but it ain't ever going to be like it was before.
no.
And so it's hard for me to know the right thing to say. What are you thinking as you're sitting in that situation going through it? Is it you want people to be there for you? You want people to just give you your space? Do you want, like, what was it like? What was the support that was actually?
No, everything was upside down. The support. Yeah, one of the things that I don't even realize that I had at that point was Manuela. Uh, my brothers, everybody knew that I was going through a really tough time, as well Dan, as well all the team members from Data Fulkerson, but Fulkerson. I mean, the problem is that when you have so many of those things and you don't even have a job, and you see that you're going through disability, and your income is not even enough to cover for your basic expenses, and then you're gonna see, everything piling up on your life. You realize that how the heck you're going to be able to survive and to be able to be successful. I mean, I believe everybody in life wants to accomplish something, or at least have a decent living. And I was just thinking about the minimum, how I'm going to be able to do that. But after the time started passing, week after week, I finally decided to go back to the garage, and I started, and my mind started changing slightly. um, I talked to you several times. I mean, I was being calling. I would call you crying. I call you frustrated. I call you pissed off. I call you, hey man, I don't know what to do. Hey, this is shit. They, what's gonna happen with Max? What's gonna happen with Manuela? A lot of shit. A lot of heavy thoughts. Um, and after what, 4 or 5 months, I had planned a trip to go visit my family, because my dad didn't want to come over. He all my family was over there to support me, so might as well. I took the trip with Max, with my wife, to Colombia for 2 months, and we're still under opioids. I was still taking medicine,
Yep, I remember
and
that.
and it was shit. It was crappy. I got there and I just wanted to go grab a bottle of whiskey or beers and get drunk if I wanted to, or and just forget about things.
Yep.
Those 2 months, I don't know what happened to the way that I was looking life, but I guess I look myself when I came to the US. I was in Colombia with no job, with no money, and the only thing that I needed actually was my mind, have my mind clear up. During that time in Colombia, I stopped taking most of the medicine. I stopped taking the painkillers for my nerve,
Yep.
which I do have. I do have a pain. It's just a pain that never goes away,
Yep.
and it's constant, and it's gonna be there for life. Until Manuela was kind of chopping in little pieces, and she didn't tell me, so she was doing it pretty smart.
Oh, with the pain meds.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was just cutting slowly. When I came back from Colombia, I was ready to divorce her. I was ready to, like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. I just don't. I don't have the mindset to do this. And like a one week before we return, I kind of started changing somehow the things that I started thinking about. Like, I might be able just to fly again. I might be able to just to try to, let's see what's gonna happen. Kind of a I stopped thinking about money, how to support my family, and I started thinking about how can I overcome this situation.
To say that again. So you stopped worrying about the financial stuff, you stopped worrying about the cash flow stuff, and you just started worrying about what can I do to mentally get through what I'm dealing with.
Yes, because my hobby for me is part of my life. My hobby is what it make me what I am today, which is an engineer. Uh, Even so that I have a good background in construction with the company that my family owns in Colombia. That is just an add on to it. But what I'm dried off for is, my drive of life is aviation. It's engineering, and of course my family. I mean, my family drives my happiness and drives my life. But professionally, that's what I do.
Yep.
That's what I enjoy to do. So I got to the point that, okay, let's not think about money. Let's just think about what I'm gonna be doing in the future and how I can be enjoying my hobby again, even so with one hand. And slightly the relationship with Manuela unconsciously it started improving again. And I started realizing how good she was with me since day one.
Can I
I
tell you
mean,
something? Doing this work, I see a lot of families that go through this, right? So I get to meet a lot of couples. She's one of the strongest women I've ever met in my life. I get goosebumps when I say it because the way that she held herself together for you in those early days, she didn't crack. Like she didn't crack. She was so strong. And I'm like sitting there tearing up at the hospital. I do this for a living, right? And she's just like, we're going to get through this. I need to be there for Pop. Like one of the strongest women I've ever met in my entire life.
Dan, there's a lot of intelligent women in this world. There's a lot of beautiful women in this world. Manuel is beautiful. I'm not gonna say she's the most beautiful, because I have seen more beautiful people. But if you right now tell me who would you dream to have as a woman, I would say Manuela.
Yep.
Manuela is Manuela is kind of my angel and is my savior because Manuela not just only took care of my baby, of my son, but she also took care of myself when I was useless 100%. And Manuela never broke, like you said. I don't know how much time, effort, you name it. I don't know how I can ever pay her in this life to being the person that she's been with me after the accident. And I realized that I will never even not even compare Manuela to any other woman because she did something incredible. She stood next to me, and up to today, she's fully supporting me.
Still.
That woman is that person is hands down respect 100% as a husband, as a person, ethically, morally. I mean, she's a human being that has a heart, has a mind that is super strong. I'm really proud of that. One of the things that I'm most proud these days is Manuela.
She's your wife. You're lucky.
I am.
You're lucky.
I am really lucky.
What was the moment you realized you were going to be all right? Because I know when it happened, I just don't know why it happened. There was a shift. You came out of it and you turned the corner and you were back to old Pablo. You were back to I'm gonna be all right and I'm gonna work my ass off until I am all right and I'm gonna get the job back that I want to get and I'm gonna build planes again. And all of a sudden you were there. And I don't know. I've told you this. I knew when it happened. I don't know why it happened. And that's something I'm very interested in. How'd you
So
get to that place? What was that turn?
so like I was telling you earlier was when I went in Colombia after the 2 months of being there, spending time with my family in Manuela. I gotta be honest. I was an asshole with her. Left her alone several times. I was just wasn't thinking through. In the last week, I talked to my mom and I talked to my brothers. Like I don't know what the heck is gonna happen in my life. I might just came back to Colombia and forget about every my life in the U.S. Whatever. I was just ready to quit. When I came here, something happened. I mean, uh, I started I started worrying about her. I started worrying about Max, and I just started worrying about let's just make a big wall and just erase everything, move on. Forget about your hand, forget about what happened to you. You're a lot stronger. You've been in a tough situations, and this is a good one to overcome too. You have a lot of people supporting you. You have a lot of backup, and not you know not like they're gonna say, yeah, Pablo is gonna be okay. Yeah, but no, they're gonna if they see that you're failing, they're gonna help you to succeed. And I kept looking. I went to several places to look for a job. I sent thousands of resumes, hundreds of resumes everywhere, where the companies that I like to work for with, and when I started working in the garage, working on my plane, it took me almost a year or over a year to put it together. And you know, I don't even
One-handed.
I don't even
One-handed.
one hand. Yeah, so I painted, did fiberglass, did the whole assembly of the airplane. Everything
How
was one.
frustrating was it when you started?
Oh, I was pissed. I was destroying it. When I was getting too pissed off, I made a hole into the airframe, and then I had to fix it again because I was frustrated. I cried several times. I told my wife, I if I would have been me for me, I'll put a grenade in the garage and fuck off. Fuck this hobby. Fuck my life. Fuck. I was frustrated many times.
Because you're so used to being able to just do it.
Yeah.
Like the easy things.
Yeah.
Like screwing in like the easy stuff.
I'm gonna tell you something after I finish the story of the how I put together the airplane. So that kind of drive is not everybody has that. I will say.
I agree.
Not everybody is as determined. Uh, I see you, and I see you as an example of life as well. I see you people that is determined. They want to do something, they just execute it. When I found my job, I say, "Oh fuck, what I gonna how well?" I was so worried about how well and how bad I was gonna be. I was gonna do over there. But no, after being working over there for over a year and a half, I see myself like I work longer hours than many people. I do a really good job. I care about the company that I'm working for.
Yep.
I care for Dart Aerospace. I care for the product that we built.
Yep.
I care with the people that I work with. Several of these people, they just earn the minimum wage.
Yep.
And they're not more than me. They're not less than me.
Yep.
They're the same type of people. And we need to treat each other with respect. And that's one of the things that I reiterate to every single, I have worked with engineers that they're assholes. I have worked with people that think because they have more money, they're more. I have worked with people that they are millionaires and they are as simple as you, as me, as anybody else, and people that they're humble. So that's one of the things that I care more about people is how they treat other ones.
Yep.
Who are in your life, and how is that type of people affecting you positively. And when I realized that I was doing a good job, I started worrying about, okay, I can make my living financially, but the happiness is the most important one. My happiness got to me before that, before I was already financially realizing that I was able to
You'd
to
figured
overcome
out
to
the
that
happiness piece earlier in the journey.
Yeah, so sorry, I jumped
You're fine.
to explain one first, but I need to go back to when I realized that no matter what, I was gonna be the person that I am the rest of my life. And it was when I realized that I had Manuela, that I had that type of person next to me.
Can I ask you this? When was it you started feeling lucky again? You follow me? For a little
Yeah.
bit of time, you felt unlucky. Like,
Yeah.
life's giving me a really bad hand, right? This is shit. And it is.
Yeah.
But when was it because you're now lucky again. You know what I mean? You look at yourself as lucky again.
Yes.
That's that perspective shift.
Yes.
When did that happen?
That happened when I returned from Colombia.
That was when it was.
Then something triggered on me, like stop looking about the bad things. I remember one person, and this is it's kind of a trauma, but not a bad trauma. It's like something that I always have to remember. The social worker at UCSD,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, in
Yep,
Hillcrest.
Yeah.
She didn't have hands and she didn't have legs, if I remember well. And she was working with a phone or something like that. I don't know if you ever saw her.
No, I didn't.
But she impressed me. Like, oh yeah, I'm the social worker of this hospital, and I know how to operate a phone with no hands. And I feel like, what the heck is this? Is nothing. I feel like shit. I feel like I can accomplish a lot more. And I felt like I was successful really when I realized that Manuela was gonna be always there for me. That's that's just the bottom line.
So
I'm happy already. I've been happy for I've been I've been happy for before the accident, but I realized that I was truly happy after the accident.
happier than you were before,
Yes.
which is crazy.
Yes, it is.
So it's almost not that you would ever go back through it, because if I had a time machine, you had a time machine, we'd redo the past. But there are blessings.
Yeah, they are. And I will leave it like as it is.
You would.
I enjoyed my vacation, my one of my last vacations with Manuela and Max the most. And
Oh, when you took them to, where'd you guys go?
we went to Bahamas.
That was like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those vacations, I realized that I, from all the vacations that I had in my life, I enjoyed the most those days. Those days were just key. They were just like in the pinnacle.
So you wouldn't change it at all?
No, I will live life the way it is. I think this make me a happier person. I laugh every day at work. People that think that they're super tough and they believe that they know everything and they're super nice, they're miserable in the inside of their lives. But you just smile them.
Yeah.
You just try to make them understand that life is a lot simpler. I just I just I just stop worrying about things like oh you're right, oh no you're wrong, or like it's not about who's wrong or who's right. We're working together. This is a team. A company is a team. Period. It's not about who is right. I'm not trying to be on your ass, or you're not trying to be on my ass. Let's just work together. That's why we're here. We're getting paid to put our heads into something. We save lives. You know, I told my wife like, if one of these float system breaks, somebody's gonna die. So I care about my work. I care about my stuff.
So it just made things simple.
Yeah, I simplify my life to that. How I can help some other people.
Let's talk about something that's not simple. This guy, after he figures out how to rebuild his planes, right? He then has to figure out how to fly his planes, because that is his love and his passion and his joy is flying his planes. And most people, if you know drones, or if what's the they're not it's not a drone. I'm calling it the wrong name.
No, radio control airplanes,
Radio
like a
control
hub, yeah,
airplane. Okay.
remote control airplanes.
Most people know they're controlled with a joystick, like toggle system, usually held in two hands, right?
Yep.
Both hands are used.
A regular transmitter with two sticks.
Yep.
Left and right sticks and a bunch of switches.
Yep.
There's a lot of manual interaction.
Makes it very difficult when you can't use your left hand.
Yeah, because you're actually controlling something that is far away from you.
Yeah.
And you have to see it, and you have to look for the perspective.
Yep. So, what's Pablo do? He creates a control that he can use with his feet. Pedals. Never been done before. No one's ever created something like this that they can fly remote controlled drone planes with. And he figured it out. How long did it take you?
So,
and explain it, because I'm doing a terrible injustice to it, and I don't even.
No. I like it.
Explain it.
I like it because you're putting the summary. But yeah, I can provide the details. The details are really simple. I tried to fly with one hand, which I was able to fly a quadcopter with one hand, but it was uncomfortable. I was having full control of it. I almost crashed into myself a couple of times.
And these things, by the way, I'm thinking like remote control planes, small. No, they're huge. They go how fast?
Well, the jets go to around over 200.
200 miles an hour. Like, we're going to show videos just so you can understand, because it was not what I had in my head when I'm like, oh, I'm going to go out and watch Pablo fly his planes. Like, I'm thinking smaller plane, I'm going to watch it fly. No, these things are like real life planes. Sorry, continue on.
Okay. So, as any hobbyist in the world, especially in this country, knows how hard it is to fly a helicopter or jet that has a turbine It's a complex airplane. It has a lot of electronics into it, um, and it requires a lot of coordination, a lot of patience, somehow some engineering to understand how they how they work. They are smaller planes. It's just they're smaller scale compared to a real one. I didn't have a way to fly it, so I was frustrated, and I realized, well, I have to do something about it. A friend of mine suggested to me to put a gimbal, another knob to control the surfaces of the airplane, and that kind of went to the dump. I say, well, it's gonna be too complicated. I'm not gonna feel comfortable. Long story short, I found a foot pedal system for simulation that people uses for to train themselves in a simulator if they're studying a professional career to become a pilot. So I ended up taking a concept, a foot pedal system from simulation for a computer, got it out, I got all the electronics out because they were useless for me. I installed some of the, I took apart another radio, took all the electronics, put them inside the sensors, the potentiometers, to to gain control. And then try I send one signal from the radio to my other radio to communicate to each other to be able to have control with my legs. So I haven't seen it yet, but I'm one of the only people's, or probably the only one in the world that is doing that. So it took me a year to develop this foot pedal system. So every time that I fly, I'm sitting in a chair with my radio here in my hand, and my foot pedal in the ground, and my throttle on my left leg, and I fly jets that way. And I
Like you did before.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I probably better at this point. I'm flying. I'm becoming pretty good at it.
Yeah.
So right now is the way that I fly airplanes. Is the way that I like it. Actually, I enjoy it pretty good. Um, it's the design is not finished yet 100%. I would like to machine and do a full blown design by myself. Uh, but this the day that I first tried, that was the second trigger. That was the second trigger. I forgot to tell you there were two that brought me my happiness 100%. One was my personal life.
Yep.
The other one was that at the point that day when I flew my jet, and I took that airplane that flew over 200 miles. I don't know. I was super fast, and I landed it, and I landed it successfully without destroying it completely, just making a mushroom cloud. Nothing happened to it. It was beautiful. People were stoked. People were like, Pablo, we're gonna put this on a magazine. We haven't done it because we were waiting.
The case and everything.
Yeah. And that day was my trigger. Like, I accomplished what I needed in my hobby. That made me so happy. That day was like that week. It lasted. That level of extra adrenaline for happiness lasted for over a week, I would say. It's still up to today. I talk about
You
it,
still feel it.
and I'm like, nobody's doing it.
Yeah.
And that was me. That I took those foot pedals and I did it by myself. I built the airplane by myself. Manuela helped me a little bit to paint it, so I did almost everything.
So you figure out how to build this thing. How often are you using it? How often are you flying it?
How often?
Yeah.
Every Sunday.
Oh, that's it's still every week.
Yeah, well, not lately because I've been I went and had to go visit my mom. Um, but yeah, my Sundays are my fly day.
You look forward to it all week long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like, come on, week, move fast.
So we're 3 years coming up on the 3-year anniversary.
Yeah.
What are your takeaways? Like, what would you tell people? Like, what would you tell someone like that? You have a love for motorcycles. Like, I know that you always have had a love for motorcycles. I'm of the belief that people shouldn't be riding anymore. I used to ride. I just don't think the streets are safe anymore. I don't think people care as much. I think that cell phones have changed the game, and I think that people really need to be careful before they get on a motorcycle. What would you tell someone that's just been in a horrific, serious motorcycle accident that was where you were at the bottom?
So motorcycles is like having a loaded gun pointed at your head all the time. That's how I describe a motorcycle. And they are as beautiful as Miss Universe, right? They're the best. Exciting, power, freedom. I ride with people that I ride with a couple guys that they're being competing in AMA internationally. People that they're from Colombia as well, having a lot more background in competitions. I compete in motorcycle before.
Yep.
I have my supermoto. I ride motorcycles since I was 4, so my background in motorcycles is good. I'm not the best pilot in the world, but I have a good knowledge of it. Motorcycles, it's not about the motorcycles. It's always been about people around the motorcycles. In this country or any country in the world, when you're in a motorcycle, you're the frame. You're the one that is gonna get bent or is gonna get ripped off.
Yep.
You're gonna be the one losing your head, losing your limbs. You're gonna die. You're the one that is just gonna take it. If you're riding a motorcycle here, the 20-year-old, 16-year-old, 18-year-old man or woman that is driving the other vehicle, that is texting, that is driving, or doesn't know how to drive really well, or knows how to drive and is careless. How many variables are right there? Millions, right?
Yeah.
Do they know that you have a family? No. Do they care that you have a family or a son or a daughter or somebody's waiting for you home? No, they don't. They just don't. They don't care. They don't know. They're not gonna hit. They're not gonna feel the hit when it happens.
Yep. Or the consequences of the hit.
Because if you see it on the video, on my video, the guys say, "Oh shit." That was it. Nothing else happened to him. And then, if I remember well, maybe the video showed say something else. "Honey, are you okay?" That was the first thing that he said. He didn't care about me. No. But I flew off. He didn't thought about he was gonna completely take his car as a freaking missile and hit me.
Yep.
Because that's what he did. So motorcycles are always fun to have in the truck. They're good for commuting. I mean, I don't have anything against that. Unfortunately,
and I think you'd probably, if you could, I know you'd probably be riding again. So I'm not saying don't ride.
Yeah.
But with motorcycles, there's always the chance that there's going to be a bad accident. And so my question is for you is, I have a lot of clients that are in bad situations right now where they have the double fractured femur and they have the back surgery from a motorcycle accident, and they feel like they're not going to be able to get back to where they were before, and they're in the depressive states. So what is your advice to those people when they find themselves in those low points? What's your advice from being in the low point and climbing all the way back up the mountain to be able to say, very few people can say and climb up that mountain and say, I'm glad I had to climb it. I'm glad life forced me to climb that mountain. And if you would give me the option to not climb it, I'd still climb it again because I'm happier at the top. What advice would you give those people just to get them to start climbing?
So that's kind of a feeling of self. How do you say that? Self test or self feed of positivism in your life. You know, as motorcycles, the faster that you go, or the more turns that you take, or whatever you want to do with bikes, it's gonna make you feel better, or you're gonna enjoy it more. Same thing is with life. If you're down and you're miserable, sitting in a wheelchair, and if you can't do anything about it, and if you still want to go ride a motorcycle, or you still want to do something else in your life, take the positive, take the plus, and the negative things, learn from them. That's it. It's as simple as that. And you're gonna be frustrated in the beginning, and you're gonna be crying, and you're gonna be probably trying to kill yourself, and you're gonna be probably trying to look for the negative things. But that positive image is what is going to take you to the next level. There's nothing else. Your family. Max is the one that triggered many of those things. Everything that I see Max, airplane, 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 it's like that makes me feel like, okay, he's my son.
That's my boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
things like that. If you lose your limbs and you still want to ride, that's your decision. My position, for example, I wouldn't risk it. Why? Because I have my hobby, and this one is really valuable,
Yeah.
and these ones are really valuable. So, is it really worth it to ride again? Maybe not. That I want to, of course, I want. I want to take a nice trip with my family in a 2,000 kilometer, 2,000 mile trip. You know, they're talking about, people that they talk to, and they're talking about trips from Colombia all the way down to Patagonia, 2 months long, in BMW's GS's off road. That you won't even know how many dangers are out there.
Yep.
They're gonna be off road. Do I want to? Yeah, of course I want to. But it's not my right now. It's not my time. And I have seen people that take an accident as a negative, and they're gonna be always looking for negatives.
Yeah.
But don't become negative, because you become negative, you're not doing anything else. You're not progressing. If you're taking positive, you're progressing. You're moving to something else.
So baby steps,
Little by little.
little by little.
And that frustration is gonna probably either break you or it's gonna make you stronger. And I suggest always look at the good things about it. Maybe, it's difficult to say that some other people have different situations in their life. They probably don't have wife, or they don't have sons or daughters or whatever. But I'm pretty sure they always look for the stuff that they have, that they're positive, and that's what I always rely on. I feel like I've been really lucky to have what I have in my life. People, my friends, my wife, my brothers, people that has been around me is what is been keeping me uh, moving forward. But the determination is really important. If you're not determined for the good things, nothing else.
Well, I hope you understand how much you've changed other people's lives as well around you. And I hope that that does sink into you, because I know personally it's changed my life. You've changed my life, the way that I look at life, the way that just I live my life is different because of you. And I hope you understand that I think that there's a lot of people in this world that you've impacted because of how you live and how positive you are, even when you're climbing that mountain. And I do hope you get that. Your case when we represented you was part of the was one of my moments in my life where I realized the track that I was on, because we just started Bada Fulkerson when, not just started, but 6 months in, when we started representing you. And you could have gone to any attorney,
Right.
and you felt comfortable and had faith in us. And when we found out that there was a policy out there, but it was better than nothing, but it wasn't huge,
Right.
it was decent, but it wasn't huge. Paul and I both looked at each other, and we just started out. We hadn't made a dollar, not a dollar. Like every month, every dollar was reinvested to hiring great attorneys and to, building this thing to what it is today. And so we made nothing, and we looked at what the fees were going to be on your case. And I can't remember, 80 grand, 85, whatever it was. And Paul and I both looked at each other, and we're like, we're not taking a dollar of that. It's going to Pablo. And that was where I knew that my life wasn't built around money, and those type of considerations didn't matter anymore. It's built around people. And
Yes.
so it was a big transition point for me, struggling on a business and then having the opportunity to bring in money and going, no, we're not taking it on this one. You know what I mean? And just seeing how your life has changed and your view of life has changed my outlook on life and on the stupid shit. And so I hope you know that.
I am aware of that since day one. Since like I said to Manuela, my brother, my brother is the one that has been managing part of the business of my family for a long time. They believe on you. I saw that. You just see people. I'm not dealing with an attorney. I'm dealing with a friend. I know. I told you. I have these clear since day one. People that bad at full Christian, especially you and Paul, are are the friends that I want on my side. I don't consider you my lawyers. I consider you my friends. Even so, that it's been a difficult case. We don't. It doesn't matter. It's not about money.
Yeah.
It's never been about money. It's about your support. That for me is here. That for me is worth millions, millions of millions that nobody has. Nobody, not even the reserve of this country, of all the countries. That doesn't matter. It's not gauged by that. If I win the lottery tomorrow and I have $100 million, what difference is gonna make me? Nothing.
Nothing.
It's not gonna do any different.
Nothing.
So for me, winning, losing a case, it's not that. It's the representation. For me, the support that you gave me, you gave Manuela, the happiness, the confidence, that's worth that. 100 million times, infinity more, not in money. It's not represented in money. It's different. It's a different concept. And many people will say, oh no, yeah, it's money. No, man. Not even whatever number you put in a check is gonna make this
Nothing.
work.
Nothing.
So for me, that's a, like I told you, that's already passed. I'm not considering whether how much do I make on these
Yeah.
3 years. What I did consider what I gain as a positive in my life, and that for me is what it's worth.
Yep.
So I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. Wake up with my son. Go take a shower. Go to work. Say good morning to people. Nice with people. Laugh with people. Enjoy working with some people. And that's how you have to be. That for me is a gain. Every day that I wake up is a gain. People think like, oh, I'm dying. I'm becoming too old. Yeah, you're becoming too old, but are you enjoying your life? Enjoy your life.
Every day.
Yeah. There's many people that enjoy life in being in the street, not having a house, not having a house, not having a car, not having a bicycle. And there's people that is dying thinking that they don't have anything and they have lots of material things. So
Perspective.
it is always perspective. Like I told you, I consider you my friend since day one. That's what I saw. That's what I saw. I saw Battlefield Christian supporting me, supporting my family, supporting a future of a family. So that was remarkable for me for what I saw. And Manuela saw the same something similar, but on the opposite side. When the other lawyer approached, talked to her, she didn't felt any good energy, anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like Robert telling me like yeah, Pablo, restitution attorney. They're like how do you call those birds? The blackbirds that are always like a loitering. Look for it.
Vultures.
The vultures.
Yeah.
No, you don't want those in your life. You want hopefully people that is gonna bring you good things.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I greatly appreciate the trust and the faith and coming on here today. I know that it's not easy to talk about this kind of stuff and to share it, but I truly think that what you've gone through is so impactful, and the way that you come out the other side is so impactful that I just appreciate you sharing the story.
No, I'm really grateful to be here. Let me put it that way. That for me is a way to give thanks as well. This interview or not interview. This is more like a conversation. For me, it's not an interview. It's a conversation. Erase that. It's not an interview. So it's it's a talk about what happened to me, but it's a way to express who you can trust. I told you. I mean, if we get an opportunity to work together, I will be happy to do so.
Me too.
100%.
Just not with you as a client.
No.
Ever again, you're never allowed to be a client. We'll figure out another way to work together.
So
Thank you.